Hi, this is Tisch Aitken, and it is Friday, December 6th, 2024. There is a lot happening, and you can certainly see that in the world news and in your own lives. To begin with, Mars retrogrades today at 6:33 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at 6 degrees and 11 minutes of the fixed fire sign of Leo. That is very heavy. Basically, Mars retrogrades once every 2 years. The last time it retrograded was October 30th of 2022 through mid-January of 23, and it retrograded in Gemini. Now it's retrograding in a fire sign. Mars does rule Aries in modern astrology. It's retrograding in Leo, which rules the heart chakra, how you can be creative, how you can tap into love. And it's going to retrograde in Leo initially, but then it returns to the sign of Cancer on January 6th. It will station direct on February 23rd at 17 degrees and 1 minute of the cardinal water sign of Cancer. It leaves Cancer altogether on April 18th. It won't clear its shadow until May 2nd, meaning it gets to 6 degrees and 11 minutes of Leo, where it is today, or will be when it retrogrades, and it leaves Leo on June 12th. So we're dealing with this story for a long time. Now, this week, let me enumerate a few things that happened on the world stage. The CEO of United Healthcare, Brian Thompson, was gunned down early in the morning in Manhattan, Midtown Manhattan, and that happened, and that's a big deal. And then we had South Korea. President Yoon declared martial law, which has since been reversed, and they want to get him out. And then in France, they pushed out the prime minister, and now they're thinking of getting Macron out. So a lot happening, and bear in mind that this Mars retrograde is very life changing because before Pluto changed signs, which happened on November 19th, and returned to the sign of Aquarius, Pluto is the higher octave of Mars. Think of very scorpionic energy with this Mars retrograde. Even though it's retrograding in Leo and Cancer, there's an imprint of Mars opposite Pluto. That first happened on November 3rd when Pluto was still at the very last degree of Capricorn, which we're done with. It's never happening again in our lifetime. And Mars was at 29 degrees of Cancer. That was the first round. Then they're going to oppose each other a second round on January 3rd at 1 degree of Leo and Aquarius, respectively, because now, Pluto is in Aquarius the next 19 and a half years or so. So there you go on that one. And then they will oppose each other a third and final time on April 26th at 3 degrees of Aquarius and Leo. So this is big. Leo and Aquarius, sorry. So three oppositions of Mars and Pluto, which is very warlike, aggressive, combative energy. And Mars rules guns, it rules motors, it rules war. There is a lot of world tension. Obviously, there are big wars going on as well. So this is something we have to be aware of in our own lives. It is a cosmic invitation to reassess what you're feeling. Mars retrograde, you may feel like your energy is diminished. Mars is energy and vitality and life force. You might be dealing with your own type of anger individually. A lot of us have been dealing with so much in the last several years, really. It'll be in January, it'll be 5 years that we've been dealing really with the beginning stages of COVID. And that was when we had the Saturn Pluto conjunction that forever changed the world and the structures in our world. And we are entering a whole new era. Aquarius represents the future. Pluto is now at the very first degree of a sign that does embody the future, technology, new ways of doing things. When it was in Capricorn, it deals with it deals with old structures and rules and regulations in our lives. But in this round it was also finishing up things that no longer served us, that were outdated, structures coming down in our lives. The metaphor I always use is when Pluto initially got to 23 degrees of Capricorn in April of 2019. The south node of karma was within about a degree, and Saturn was at 20 degrees of Capricorn at that time. And that is when the fire occurred in Notre Dame on April 15th of 2019. And that is a very old Gothic structure that took 582 years to build, a lot of art and history, also a symbol of the Catholic Church in France, and a very famous, obviously a beautiful monument. So with that said, now we're going for the new, but we're really going through very many growing stages. And Mars opposite Pluto, those are the two rulers of Scorpio. Mars rules Scorpio in ancient astrology, and Pluto rules Scorpio in modern astrology. We're trying to evolve to a new era. Aquarius, Pluto in Aquarius is now the new age of Aquarius. We got previews on the winter solstice of 2020. Saturn and Jupiter meet up every 20 years to mark they initiate what's known as a great cycle, a great conjunction, and they usher in a new vision, a new generation, really. And that was the preview, 0 degrees of Aquarius, the very first degree. And Saturn was in Aquarius through on and off from March 23rd of 2020. It dipped in briefly, and then it left Aquarius altogether on March 8th of last year when Saturn entered Pisces. But now we've got Pluto, which is much bigger deal because Saturn transits for about 2.5 years in a sign. And with Mars opposite Pluto, we're rebirthing ourselves, but there are things that we're letting go. There's a lot of anger that's been built up. There's a big mental health crisis going on, and that points more to where Saturn and Neptune are in Pisces. And the anger and the depression and the pain is so potent and so, you can just feel it. It really is strong. And so this weekend is an intense beginning to this Mars retrograde because, interestingly enough, Neptune stations direct tomorrow at 6:43 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at 27 degrees and 7 minutes of the mutable water sign of Pisces. Whenever an outer planet retrogrades or stations direct, we feel the energy of that planet emphasized. We feel all the qualities 5 days before and 5 days afterwards. And Mercury just opposed Jupiter the other day, and Mercury is currently retrograde in its detriment because it rules the sign of Gemini, and it's currently retrograding in Sag, which can sometimes give too much information. It can sometimes have foot in the mouth disease, with Sagittarius. And Mercury in Sag can be a very fun placement, even though it's in its detriment. But opposing Jupiter, and we have all these other energies at play. Mars, very aggressive Mars energy. You can certainly see that. And then with the Neptune station, well, not only could you be feeling tired or angry or all of the above from the Mars retrograde, and Pluto newly in Aquarius, I have been lit up like a Christmas tree since Pluto entered Aquarius on November 19th. And I can't really shut my mind down. It feels like I have 10 windows on my computer open at once, how often I do. But it's the way my life feels. It feels like I'm a video game. I'm all over the place. And we are really entering a whole new level of a digital age. And you can see that with what's going on with technology. But it also can be overwhelming. It can raise your anxiety. And then you have Mars retrograde. Well, we're completing a year with Mars retrograde. That's not such a big deal. I don't like beginning a new year with Mars retrograde. And there are a lot of other planets retrograde right now. But, Mars retrograde, Mars is the only planet that doesn't retrograde annually. Well, Venus retrogrades once every year and a half. So Venus and Mars. And Venus will be retrograding on March 1st, so that's around the corner. But right now we're focusing on Mars. Trying to figure out reassessing how you can find the light within you, the love within you, the creativity within you, because Leo is such a creative sign. But if you have points or planets between 0 and let's say 8 degrees of the fixed signs, because Mars only got as far as 6 degrees of Leo. It'll be at 0 degrees in early January, and then it returns to Cancer on January 6th. So let's say between those points, the fixed signs being Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius, you will get points hit off on your chart. Mars can bring triggers. It can make you act very impulsively. Be careful on the road between, well, it's the holidays right now, and also Neptune stationing. People could be more prone to overdoses or overdoing it with the energy, unfortunately, because again, the energy of Neptune right now is emphasized. Neptune is the last degrees of Pisces, which is close to a fixed star known as Shiat, and that is a very difficult fixed star connected with self-undoing and suicide and depression. And so we have to figure out, with all of this, how can you find your inner light with Mars retrograde? If you're feeling tired and devitalized, getting more rest, taking care of your health. That's important. Mercury squares Saturn today, so that's not a fun energy. That's a restrictive energy, and you might be thinking, unlike Mercury and Jupiter, which would be Mercury and Sag, which would be the glass is half full and let's go have a party. Mercury squaring Saturn, that party is called off. And then the moon goes void of course today at 7:01 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with a square to Uranus, twists and turns and surprises. And Venus, which is the planet of love and beauty and what you value, enters Aquarius tonight at 10:13 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and tomorrow at 1:13 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it'll be in Aquarius through January 2nd. And it meets up with Pluto in the sky at 9:08 a.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. More intensity. Pluto is the higher octave of Scorpio. Pluto is death and regeneration. We already had Mars oppose Pluto, and we've felt that very potently. We have Mars retrograding, and we have the Neptune station with Mercury retrograde. Lies getting uncovered. People, again, maybe slipping, with their depression or addictions. There could be definite breakups and power struggles. Venus Pluto can definitely be a big power struggle. And, that's not easy. And then the moon enters Pisces at 4:49 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Neptune is the modern ruler of Pisces. So, again, feeling very dramatic emotions, I'd say, this weekend. Venus Pluto is like Catherine and Heathcliff. It's very, heavy with love. It can be triangles of sorts. It can be very heavy energy psychologically. The Neptune station can make you feel very tired, but can also make you feel depressed. Could make you feel creative, but likely with this, it's hard to tap into it. If you are, that's awesome. I mean, we have choices. This is not all doom and gloom, but being aware that there are very challenging energies at force. And there are. So then when Mars returns to Cancer, which it will on January 6th, this is going to be a time, Mars is in its fall position in Cancer. At least in Leo, it's very passionate and expressive and creative. In Cancer, it's in its fall position. Because it's exalted in the opposite sign of Capricorn. So in its fall position, Mars is answering to the moon, which changes signs every 2.5 days. And it also is, crabby and sensitive, and you don't want to take action based on your emotions. You want to be clear, you want to be lucid, you want to be proactive. This is not a time, if you can avoid, to launch something new altogether. Now, I know, again, this is lame because we're beginning a new year when many people are launching things, which is why I've been saying repeatedly, if you can take micro or macro steps to launch things, I've been saying this last month and a half or so, do it before Mars retrogrades. Well, now I got Mars retrograde. And, we will all be, advertising things. If you have your own business, obviously you're not going to not work. But it's not a great time to start a new job. I'll be realistic on that. It's not a great time to launch something new. It's not an ideal time to have surgery. If it's elective surgery, I would wait till Mars goes direct at the end of February and maybe a little bit after that. But some people will have to, and it is what it is. But you have, if you can, I wouldn't, elect that time. And, this is now also governing your own anger management. Feels a lot of people, I was just talking to a a mental health expert. We are in a mental health epidemic. That is clear. Neptune and then Saturn will both be entering Aries next year. Neptune and Saturn are both right now in Pisces, and they will dip for a few months, and that's a big deal too. But right now in the sign that Neptune rules, and Saturn doesn't love being in Pisces. It's not in its detriment, but you're trying to construct and anchor something that's uncontainable. The imagination and the ocean are uncontainable. So it's not an easy energy, and I find a lot of people that have it do have, it's not an easy placement. And this is not an easy time. So much happening. The sun opposes Jupiter tomorrow, so adding more to the chaos. I would lay low right now. I'm not saying not to do things. And again, I mean, not that I'm not going to be doing promotions and stuff in the beginning of the year. I have my own business. But if there was something really big I were launching, I would wait till afterwards. I'm not launching anything big in the new year, in the very beginning. And things that I'm doing, I'm returning to. I've already done, I'm going to LA at the very beginning of the year. Well, I do that a few times a year, and I've been doing that for a long time. So, heavy energy. I'm amped up. A lot of people are very amped up. You might find people more reckless on the road between Mercury retrograde, and it is the holidays, and it's in Sagittarius. It's retrograde through December 15th. Mars retrograde, there could be more road rage. There could be more anger without a question. Passive aggressive energy too, because it's retrograde. I have two cats that have Venus retrograde, and they're lovely, but they're very quirky. They basically have just started sleeping on the couch. They like tables, and they're a little weird. Venus retrograde, so they were born with that. They're very, very sweet and loving, but Mars retrograde could be passive aggressive because Mars is very forward, direct, and gets done. When it's retrograde, it's harder to get things done. Good luck, you guys. Get rest, take care, and take note of what's going on, because Mars entered its shadow on October 4th when it got to 17 degrees of Cancer, and that's where it's going to station direct on February 23rd. And now it's retrograding at 6 degrees and 11 minutes of Leo. It won't clear that shadow till May 2nd when it's in Leo, and it gets to 6 degrees of Leo. So, and it won't leave Leo until June. So we're dealing with this story for a long time, not to mention we have two more Mars Pluto oppositions. You can't control all the big events in the world. You can control how you interface with the world and people on your everyday in your everyday life. And also, this is a good time to do healing work. Again, Mars and Pluto both rule Scorpio. Do your shadow work. Maybe go into some therapy, do a cleanse, a detox, do something to heal yourself. And you might have very vivid dreams this weekend, or maybe you already have this week with the Neptune station. Neptune rules the subconscious mind. And also, we're going to have the moon in Pisces early tomorrow morning, amidst all of this wacky, chaotic energy. So good luck. Take care, and I will be back. Thank you.